Hey guys, Destler Magic here, and I've got a wild story for you. Have you ever heard of Alta Fox Capital Management? Probably not, but it's like, I wouldn't say venture capital, but they're like a business investment, buy up a bunch of the stocks type of company, and they go long term, and they're very responsible actually the way they do it, compared to most Wall Street scumbags. So they own 2.5% of Hasbro, which Hasbro's worth $5 billion, so that's a lot. So why are they in the news? Oh, just a little story about them publicly going on an absolute campaign that has its own website at this point, where they want Hasbro to spin off Wizards of the Coast into its own company and then gut the Hasbro board and replace them with 5 industry professionals. And that's implied, otherwise they're going to pull out their 2.5%, which would be devastating. So let's jump in to this crazy story. This is by far the biggest Wizards of the Coast news I've covered ever. I think I just said that last week, but this one does top it. I'm not kidding. Alta Fox and its owner and original founder are going full-blown like nuclear option on these people. They're out there saying in a very highly publicized and about to just explode campaign, like an actual marketing campaign, telling everybody basically, if I were to sum it up the way I'm reading it, we don't buy Wizards' ridiculous statements, your corporate structure is crap, your board members are impossible to work with, and your blueprints are garbage. And we strongly suggest a drastic course correction or else, and then kind of like an open-ended or else. It's not them, offering advice. That's kind of how they framed it. It's like, change and we're pulling our 2.5 all at once. We're going to crash your stock price. And yeah, so let's talk about just like the more details about what's going on there. But trust me, you're going to want to watch this whole video because my God, does a rabbit hole go wild. And if you want to just get the tip of the iceberg right now, go to freethewizards.com and just look at the website. Just scroll down, scroll up, and then just ask yourself, what the hell is going on here? There's a lot beneath the surface. And this looks like our best chance to fix Wizards and fix MTG once and for all. And yes, I've already strongly requested that they contact me if they want the real story and they want the full information, because they're also seeking feedback from, well, people like me. Now, why would they be doing that? That doesn't seem to match up with, maybe there's something below the surface here. So let's jump in. So you might be thinking, 2.5%, who cares what they say or think or whatever, that's nothing. Okay, if I owned 2.5% of Hasbro and I said, you should probably do this, and they ignored me, and I said, if you don't do this, I'm going to sell 2.5% of the stocks. I'm going to sell them all in one day, overnight, and then they continued to ignore me, and then I did it, you can take that $5 billion and cut it right in half, because when you sell 2.5% of the stocks at once, let's just say the value of your company and your stocks go down by more than 2.5%. I actually wish that Alta Fox Capital, with what they're saying and what they're telling Hasbro to do and how unhappy they are with them, I wish they owned 5 to 10%, because like at 10%, it's not even we're requesting you do this, it's you are doing this, or we are selling overnight and have fun at the bankruptcy trial. Call up the bankruptcy lawyers right now because we're pulling 10% and that'll be 70% of your stock value, okay? It all depends. Every company's structured differently, but Alta is pissed. So this is primarily coming from Business Wire, among other places, but their little summary says that Alta issued a statement. It says to shareholders. I don't know if it means their own shareholders or the other shareholders of Hasbro. They want Hasbro to spin off Wizards of the Coast in a tax-free spin-off, not a sale, because if you sell it, you have to pay taxes on it. And that would somehow result in an additional $100 per share for Hasbro. Yeah, I know, I don't get it either. I think like 71% of Hasbro's income, depending upon how you measure it, is Wizards. But it's only worth like $100 right now. So they want to double the price because they think that with all these terms I don't fully understand, like capital allocation, this and that, business, market, who knows. Somehow if they spin off Wizards, it would result in their share price doubling. I don't know, whatever. So within 3 years, they say too. And also, because of the mismanagement, over the last like couple decades, they came up with 5 people that they want put on the board. I don't know if it's a board of 5 people or if they want them added or if they want people replaced. It's kind of sounds like they want people replaced. But they're like, here's 5 people from the industry, not from Alta Fox Capital, from the industry, who we think would do a better job than you absolute mismanaging morons. So they're not like full-blown hostile. If you don't do this within 30 days, we're pulling out every penny and your company's going to die. They're just like, hey, we want you to do this because this is what we do. We analyze businesses. We are very cautious before we invest. And when we invest in a company, we tend to stay there, okay? And if we don't get skittish like most, dumb Wall Street idiots, where, oh no, one negative headline about Microsoft, sell everything we own. Overreacting knee-jerk morons. That's pretty much the majority of Wall Street, all the way from the, know-nothing day traders up to the hedge funds. They're all universally pretty darn uninformed and totally fronting about them knowing what they're doing. And I had heard, I don't know if this is true or not, that in like the last 50 years, no hedge fund manager has ever, without committing fraud, outperformed an index fund. Yeah, all these so-called geniuses that are doing all this stuff, yeah, it's all just political. They're all just there to get money and influence and buy politicians. But that's a different story. So that's why I kind of like Alta Fox Capital with what I've read about them, because they will, like, if something starts going south, they'll be like, okay, what's going on? We'll do an investigation. We'll talk with you. Okay, we think you should make these changes because it's worked in the past. We're not going to pull out our money. Okay, we'll be the last ones to pull out our money. But we recommend you do what we tell you to. And if you don't and it continues to get worse, fix it on your own, great. But if you do what we tell you to, your stocks are going to go up, and then we're going to be happy and we're going to make money, and then we're not taking our money and running and going anywhere. That seems to be the vibe I'm getting from, like, literally the original creator and owner currently of Alta Fox Capital and a couple third-party resources. That is how they do things. So that's why they're coming in saying, hey, you need to make these changes. They want most of the board replaced, it sounds like, a refreshed board, as they're putting it. They think their brand blueprint is crap. Well, actually, I'll just read the summary here. They issued a letter to their shareholders saying that they want to make the case for boardroom changes following years, plural, of disappointing results, poor governance, I can attest to that, and questionable disclosure practices under the brand blueprint strategy. You know what? It might as well be called the bland blueprint. I can't talk today. Look, they're an out-of-date, out-of-touch company that's almost 100 years old, and they haven't adapted, and the way they structure themselves is really weird, and they're not taking full advantage of what they could do to make the stock price higher. Now, I don't have that 100-page document that they released, but I bet you it goes into enough detail to say, cut the SJW bullshit, cut the activist horse shit. Remember all this PV, caught on tape stuff where they're like, mandatory training for all employees at Hasbro. All white people are awful. They're ruining society. They're ruining the company. Everything has to be diversity. We don't care if the toy sells. Put diversity into it because it's more important than profits. Yeah, that's what the stakeholders want to hear. Wizards stock tanked after that, unfortunately, or Hasbro, not Wizards, but the employees at Wizards are that bad or worse. I would dare say absolutely worse than that level of far lefty cult nonsense. Like, they're just crazy people. They're lunatics. They don't have a grasp on the most basic things about society. They're just brainwashed. Someone running that, you might as well it's like letting a chimp drive a car. When you got those just delusional, brainwashed mental patients who think that, like, the skin color of a doll is more important than profits. And let me just say, like, in the 70s and 80s, that argument could be made. And if you got the spare money and you want to fix society and get rid of racism, cool. But now it's just about blame white people, blame cops, blame men. Okay, now they've gone so far with it, it doesn't even make sense anymore. The left has lost their freaking minds. I bet that whole idea came up somewhere in the 100 pages. If you have a summary of it or you have that document, let me know if you can attest to that. And I can't imagine that they would want a, quote, tax-free spinoff of Wizards of the Coast, which is where you don't sell it. Because if you sell Wizards of the Coast, you get taxed on the income from it. Okay, don't do that. That's not smart. Unless you need the money to acquire something better than Wizards of the Coast, so then you spend it in the same year and don't get taxed on it, because then you have income and an expense. You don't just sell it and then get nailed for like 30-40% of the value straight to the U.S. government, okay? That is not a smart business move, but with how profitable Wizards has been and how important to Hasbro's bottom line they've been, why the hell do they want them spun off then? Which is like the second thing they want. Like I said, it's number one, they want the board replaced. Number two, they want Wizards spun off in a tax-free spinoff where they just tell them, go be your own thing, bye. Basically, doesn't cost them a thing. But then they lose all the revenue and income. Now, maybe part of the spinoff strategy is they continue to license the names, because I think technically Hasbro owns all of the trademarks and copyrights. It would be kind of like what Wizards just did, selling, in double quotes, Magic the Gathering Online, MTGO, to some third-party game management company, where then they let them manage, run it, and own it, and then they still have like a long-term, probably 10-plus year, if not infinite, trademark and copyright licensing for all of the characters and the technology and the patents. So you go let it be something else, you let it go, it's gone, it is now the property of who you sold it to, but you still have a link where they still pay you money. My guess is that's what they're saying. That's what they want done. And they say that if they were to spin off Wizards, they could unlock up to an estimated a $100 per share upside, as they call it. Well, Hasbro's worth about $100 a share. So that would, they're saying within 3 years, it would be a $200 share price, doubling in value. It would be a $5 billion value increase, I do believe. Although I don't think it's like a company's value is 100% stocks. It's also assets and real estate, but yeah, it would be big. I mean, doubling the value of a company is doubling the value of a company. And that's roughly what this would represent, roughly. So they made a website called freethewizards.com and just go there and look at the background. Look at the style. They made a fake Magic card called Free the Wizards and put it on the bottom. Okay, like, this isn't purely, well, we looked at the spreadsheets and this. This was made by someone who has an axe to grind with Magic the Gathering and Wizards of the Coast specifically. And I'd like to think that it's the guy in the video, the owner, originator, the founder, and the current, like, basically manager of Alta Fox Capital. But I watched their little 2-minute intro video, which is hosted on Vimeo because alt tech, which is why I think he might be anti-liberal, just saying. And everything he said was numbers, charts, stats, this portion, all these terms I don't understand. So he seems to be all numbers guy, but that could be the front. I don't think he sat there and made this website on WordPress himself. But if he said, hey, I've had enough of Wizards of the Coast, this is what we're going to say we want him to do. This is why we're going to say we want him to do it. But really, Wizards of the Coast. They will never learn. They're spiraling. Their reports are a lie. And they're going to be toxic assets. So either we're taking our money out of Hasbro or they're going to cut off these toxic assholes before they ruin everything. I would like to think that's what the goal is of Connor Haley, the current basically head of Alta Fox Capital. Like I said, the original founder, okay? They didn't just, I started this thing and then I sold it to Wall Street douche and retired. No, this is the guy who started it. It's his business, started from nothing, and he's still in control of it. He's about the right age to be a longtime Magic player too. Just saying. There's one clip that I want to play from him personally. He literally came out in front of a camera and said, I'm going to explain this on camera myself. Okay, this ain't some, release a document, press release. This dude's like, I got a message. Let's go, roll it. And this is the key part right here.
Despite our best efforts to collaborate with Hasbro's current board, they insist on doubling down on what they call the brand blueprint strategy, which is what we call empire building without financial discipline. This strategy has misappropriated billions of dollars of capital. It has also failed shareholders over the last 5 years, as Hasbro shares have underperformed the S&P 500 by over 100%, while the board and management have been overpaid for this underperformance, collecting approximately $184 million over the last 5 years alone.
So empire building without financial discipline, let's hit on that first. Ooh, look at our market share. Ooh, look at what we acquired. Ooh, look at these pretty numbers. Look how great we are. But it's all for show. It's like, yeah, you got performance numbers, but what are you really doing? Like, what's the real substance? And the answer is nothing. And so they have put billions of dollars towards this asset, that acquisition, this thing, that property, this, whatever, all to just look good and look big. That is such a 1980s, 1990s thing. That's not what you do in 2021. And so, Hasbro's almost 100 years old. Some of the people they're managing it and on their board have been there forever. They're probably old as hell, and they don't understand the 2022. Did I just say the wrong year? I did say 2021 before. Anyway, they don't understand how you do stuff in the modern era. Okay, and how people invest now and how you actually really get durable, meaningful, not going to collapse overnight suddenly, business numbers that mean something. Right now, it's enough to fool the investors and show pretty numbers and all that, but also they separately, in a separate article, complained specifically, Alta Fox did, about their disclosures being absolute BS. And I even made a video about it when Hasbro came out and said, look how good this sector is doing. And it is the most misleading, almost criminal, almost actually get the SEC involved, illegal levels of misrepresentation of their company, because they're like, well, this year to this year, look at this growth. And 1 year, it was just Magic the Gathering. The next year, it was, for some reason, Magic the Gathering mixed with Monopoly and other tabletop. They aren't even on the same side of the country, let alone building. So one of the two looked like shit, so you put them both together, and I believe that year they said, oh, the rest of our business is doing bad because there wasn't a Transformers movie. Don't worry, it'll be fine next year, and then it wasn't. It's all smoke and mirrors, it's all old school 1980s Wall Street misrepresentation bullshit, and their entire company is basically, from what I've seen and what from Alta is saying, set up with the number one goal of looking good to the investors and looking like big, impressive market share numbers without actual durable, business results. And that is dangerous. That's like, how quickly like Sears collapsed and JCPenney, and I don't know how the hell Macy's is still around. But like, what was the other ones? Montgomery Ward. I mean, over the last like 50 years, everything has collapsed. That's an old business model because they didn't adapt. Now, it wasn't just, oh, the internet ruined everything. Oh, no, I could just get a recliner on Amazon. No, they had old business models. They were stupid. The way they did inventory was stupid. The way they did marketing was stupid, and they failed to adapt. I just watched a documentary about the Best brand and how they went under in like 2 years. If you do stuff in this day and age, let alone back then, I believe early 2000s is when they collapsed, where you just kind of look good and they're like, look at how respectable, look at this market share. And then like overnight it all falls apart because your business model is stupid. Your market share, your numbers, your gross volume, none of that means anything if you're not doing it correctly. But back then it was everything moved slow. Nobody could look up anything on the internet. Everything was from newspapers and TV. And you could get away with that crap. You could just be like, invest in us because we're big. And then nobody knew and nobody cared what was going on behind the scenes because, well, if they have this market share and these numbers and these disclosures, well, then they must be doing good. Look at these quarterly reports. They must be doing good. Look how big Hasbro is. They're big, so let's throw money at it. Where Alta Fox is coming in saying, okay, we invest in multiple businesses. We've been doing this for a while. We know what we're talking about. And we want this change and that change, or you're going to do poorly because you are mismanaging it and your current board isn't working with us. And here's what's really going on. The last thing you want when you manage Hasbro the way Hasbro has been managing Hasbro is for somebody to come in and disclose publicly as part of a giant campaign with its own website saying, here's what's really going on and here's why we take issue with it. Because there are investors, large investors, dumb enough to just be like, I don't know anything about all this toys and magic stuff and D&D. What even is that? Let me just look at these numbers. They look good. Okay, all right, whatever. They're pretty big. Look at their market share. Let's just throw money at it. Yeah, if Alta Fox comes out and discloses in a 100-page report saying, oh my God, it's not doing as well as you think it is, whether they listen to Alta or not, this could by itself crash their price. If this guy, the owner of Alta Fox, comes out on CNBC and says, here's a little 2-minute blurb on why we did what we did and what's behind this campaign and why we think Hasbro is absolutely mismanaging everything and doing everything wrong, you could just vaporize $1 billion in value overnight. But if you're invested in, what are you going to do? Keep playing along with a business structure that doesn't work at an out-of-touch, out-of-date company? No. You're going to come in and fix it, or you're going to pull your money out, which is why they got this huge campaign coming out as of 2 days ago. But now, I don't know if I mentioned this yet. Just go to freethewizards.com, okay? freethewizards.com. They made a magic card, like a fake mock-up of one, with the Alta Capital logo as the set logo, and then put it on the bottom of their website. It says, free the wizards. It's 3 generic, 1 white, 1 blue. Sorcery, rare. This spell can't be countered. Which that's almost like a thinly veiled threat. That's kind of funny. Destroy all enchantments you don't control. Return all wizards from exile to the battlefield. Gain 5 life. And the flavor text, this is on their official website with the owner's face on a video. You scroll down a couple inches, here it is. Okay. After infiltrating the depths of Hasbro's lair, the Shadow Mage broke the chains that bound his wizard comrades. However, it was up to the newly freed wizards to ensure their own escape to sovereignty. This is why I thought this was a joke and this guy was just pretending to be like a shareholder. But no, Alta Fox Capital is real, and I think he really is from here. I don't know. If they fooled Business Wire and me, I'd be kind of impressed. But no, I think this is a real thing that's happening. But I've only had 1 day to research this because 6 a.m. Eastern Time, February 17th is when this came out, and it's currently February 18th. So their whole 100-page, cold, boring, here's some numbers, let's do a different investment strategy, blah, 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 who cares, boring, Wall Street mumbo-jumbo nonsense is on Business Wire, but then you go to their actual website, Free the Wizards, and it's like, somebody hates Wizards of the Coast and deeply understands them and has a problem with MTG specifically. That's what I'm getting from it. And I could be biased, but like, look at the background, look at the colors, look at the logo. They put a damn magic card on the bottom. Okay. Somebody thought this was a good idea. Was it the guy in charge of Alta? Was it the person in charge of this website? I don't know. His video says one thing, the website says another, like stylistically. So that's why I say, what is really going on behind the scenes here? And I think we have the answer. If you already went to the website, you know damn well what I'm about to say. They have a form that says feedback about Hasbro. Whether you're a shareholder, player, or employee, just let those three sink in for a second. We value all input, name, email, and then choose your player required, current investor, prospective investor, analyst, employee, media, Wizards player, other stakeholder, and then a message, and then submit your feedback. They want inside dirt on Wizards. They want either what they're saying to be validated or... Well, let's just say they should call me, and I'm about to fill out the form the second I stop recording and tell them they urgently need to talk to me. Because can you think of another like independent, I don't care what Wizard says, I'm going to tell the truth channel bigger than mine that only covers Magic? I don't know of one. As far as I know, I'm the king of it. A lot of people see my channel and they're like, 50,000 subscribers. Like, that's the only metric. Look, I'm not one to sit there and brag and say, oh, I'm the biggest, I'm the oldest, I've got the most this stat, that stat. I don't just throw that stuff around because I don't care. But I do bring it up occasionally when it's necessary. Let me give you a quick YouTube 101 on some other valuable stats. I have over 35 million views, 282 million. So just over 250 million watch minutes total on my channel. I checked a while ago. I had Channel Fireball beat. They had me beat on subs. I had them beat on people actually watching the shit I upload, okay? You want to talk about the size of my channel, okay? I don't get into like, dick measuring contests a lot, but I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there because I'm sure this video is going to get back to them, especially when I mention it. The age of my channel, the size, I have almost 3,000 videos. The length of time I've been following Wizards and the amount of information I have on them, what they're doing, plus some insider stuff you guys haven't even heard about. Yeah, I would dare say I'm the #1 authority on really telling it like it is on Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering, on probably all of the internet, let alone YouTube. So, Alta, if you'd like to talk, I think you're either cleverly hiding your real intentions to this, or, well, let's just say I feel like I know why there's a feedback form on your website. Please get in contact with me. I would love to jump on a voice call or chat or something with you, and we could discuss some things about Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro. Because there's a lot going on besides the numbers, you know what I mean? And if you've got anything for them too, go to the website and submit it. Don't just like put, I'm a player and Wizards sucks and I hate them. That's, if you say, I've been following the game for 20 years, here's the real story, don't believe their numbers, here's why, okay. But I mean, that's just what I'm going to tell them. So I guess the only thing left to say is the 5 people that they want put on the board on Hasbro, and just to prove that Alta, it's not just like 5 Magic players or judges, this isn't like some complete and utter conspiracy. This is why this looks pretty legit and looks a little more Wall Street, is number 1, they want Matthew Culkins, the Chief Executive Officer and Chairman of Appian Corporation. They are a cloud computing and enterprise software company. That's who he wants as one of the 5 people on the board, the oversight board basically, of Hasbro. Number 2, Marcelo Fisher, corporate finance expert, Marcelo Fisher. Currently the CFO, Chief Financial Officer of IDT Corporation. Yeah, giant cloud computing IDT. Like IDT Telecom, one of the telecom companies that didn't go bankrupt. John Finkel, and then a picture of John Finkel in front of a Magic the Gathering backdrop. I swear, somebody did this on purpose. There are so many hints being dropped, it cannot be inadvertent. Anyway, he's an expert in capital markets, finance, and he knows Magic the Gathering. He's currently with Landscape Capital. So he knows Magic the Gathering and he knows capital management. Yes, get John Finkel's ass somewhere near Hasbro, please, thank you. Then we've got Randy Hublau. She's a higher up at Incline Strategies LLC, and she does a lot with marketing as well at PSS Systems. Sounds like she's on multiple boards. It sounds like all these people might be on multiple boards, so they know how to oversee companies, and the companies that they're representing are doing well. So there you go. Lastly, Carolyn Johnson. She was most recently the CTO of AIG. Do I need to say more? That's who they want. I agree with every single one of these people. Absolutely. And the funny thing is, I'd like to say, because it's Hasbro. Well, not really. It's Alta. They stuck in 2 women because they're women. I just read their backgrounds. Here's how you run a company. Ignore skin color, gender, age, and everything else. Look at their resume and the results, and then just pretend they're a gray blob and who gives a flying about their demographics. If they can do the job better than anybody else, go get them. And then hilariously, it ended up being 2 women and 3 men. Like, these people have been with like multiple companies. They have a proven track record. Yes, hire these people and ignore diversity and just let diversity come to you, okay? Because look, here it is. Here it is right in your face. There you go. Anyway, one more thing I should mention so that you don't get it mixed up here, because, you know, some 2.5% shareholders coming in saying, here, gut your board with these 5 people you never heard of that we came up with on our own without you asking. This isn't like, oh, here's 5 people from my company, Alta Fox Capital, install them in your board, because that's insane. This is like, your board is impossible to work with. We know what we're talking about. Look at our track record. You're spiraling. All your numbers are fake, and your entire company's set up to fail. We strongly suggest you go get these 5 people, or at least some of them, and put them on your board and get rid of the problematic members. With the heavy implication that if you don't do it, we're going to pull all of our money out, and that won't be good for you. But you look like the Titanic, there's an iceberg, and there's a lifeboat. We suggest you steer left or right. If you don't, bye-bye. That is one of the more polite ways to handle things on Wall Street, honestly. If you think this is very arrogant and incredibly like out of line and stuff, I don't think so. Now, this could all be one big grand statement to manipulate everything, get them to do one little thing. You do the big ask and then you settle for less or all that, but I think they're being sincere. But the fact that this was so public and they made like a PR website styled like this about it, it's almost like they're targeting us. And this could also just be them kind of fishing for insider information because they're still deciding if they want to stay with the Hasbro investment or drop them. Because like I said, this isn't like we invested in 100 companies. Oh, look, a bad headline. Bye, pull everything, rug pull, bye. They research a company for months, if not years, from what I heard. They invest money in them. Then they're in close talks with them about their management, and they go deeper. And if something looks bad, they try to fix it before pulling their money out. That is one of the most responsible things I've ever heard of in all of the stock market. Hell, or private equity, or venture capital. So when they come and say, hey, we're giving you a chance, we've given you chances in the past, and your board is impossible to work with and keeps making the same mistakes, we suggest you do this instead of just, you know what, we're fed up, bye. We're going to smear your name, crash your price, and we're out. Look, that's when you give them the courtesy back of listening to them and doing what they say. But Hasbro is run by morons, although they just got a new CEO, so we'll see. And I think that timing is why this just came out. That cannot possibly be a coincidence. I think they had some talks with Chris Cox and then the board together, and they're just like, no, this is even further down the wrong direction, and we suggest you spin off Wizards, do this, and replace your board with people who know what the hell they're doing. I mean, if you just look back in history at every company that was like, we don't need to take this external advice. We don't need, more than 70% of our shareholders to actually be happy if they want to go stomp off whatever, because look how big we are. Look how big we are. We're too big to fail. MySpace, we're too big. We're never going to get replaced. We're practically a utility. And then Facebook comes in and they're like, hey, we're not MySpace. Everybody's like, thank God, hallelujah, let me jump off this ship. If you mismanage your company but still do well, it is literally only a matter of time. Now, I don't know what the time scale is because Hasbro is like, well, we've survived 100 years and look at our market share. We could do anything. We could mismanage it. We'll still make money. And if we don't make money, we'll just cover it up with incredibly misleading quarterlies and shareholder reports where we just smash categories together that don't mean anything and kind of mess with the numbers a little bit, which is absolutely, in my opinion, what they've been doing. And they've been fooling investors, and I think they're done with it. Alta's done with it. I almost hope that this results in Alta just pulling their money out, but I would much prefer just gut the board, get rid of Wizards, or get rid of Wizards but then still control them, or do like a reverse thing like they did with MTGO where they sell MTGO but with like an indefinite or at least 10 plus year licensing agreement. Well, they'll still pay you a percentage on your property, on your trademarks, on your characters, on all your copyrighted stuff. You still make money on the intellectual property, but the actual property is sold to them and it's their problem. I think that's why they want to spin off Wizards. That's the only thing that makes sense because Wizards is like the only thing that makes money, and Hasbro is doing worse than Wizards. But look at the Wizards community and look at how Wizards, specifically Magic the Gathering oriented, this freethewizards.com website is. Okay? And then Finkel, his picture in front of a Magic the Gathering thing? Come on. There is more here than what they're saying. whatever's going on here, it's got me a little worried, but it's got me a little hopeful. I don't know. That's why I'd like to talk with Alta personally, but I got info for them. They probably got info for me. Let's have a chat. I'm going to go fill out that feedback form. Oh, good. The insane winter storm just knocked out power and I almost lost this recording. Well, I better go encode it before I do lose it. So that's the crazy news coming out of Wizards. I think this is the biggest story I've ever covered, ever. Because this is like future of the company, future of Magic, future of Wizards level stuff. So thanks for sticking around for the whole story. And if you want more Wizards news and more news about Magic the Gathering, from the small to the big stories with basically just facts and no spin, no bias, it's pretty much me and then some smaller channels. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you guys next time.